he holds on to these terrible, unhappy moments with Meghan, who he says, she's absolute misery, but that's not true either. And she wasn't around in the late 1990s. I mean, it's a sort of extraordinary way of behaving.
What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was chaired as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty and all the values of the Queen and all the tradition and 1,000 years of history. So people were cheering not just the person, but also the institution.
Almost like Harry 2.0 is Brooklyn Beckham. Have you seen any of this action?
Yes, I'm into it.
I'm so very into it because doesn't talk to his father, fall out with the father.
Well, absolutely, but don't even believe that there were 5 options. What you really saw were Harry's and Meghan's fantasy narrative, which they call the truth.
Lost at the trial court level on this push to make the British royal family pay for his security when he goes to the UK.
Once they realise that myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, please just look at the fact. Look at the risks. Look at the threat. Look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, look where the responsibility lies.
What a manipulation. My father's grandchildren. They're going to and it will be his fault.
It's gaslighting on a grand scale.
Devastating moment for Prince Harry's reputation and credibility, as he argues with a judge while in the dock, contradicts himself, appears to fib about using the pseudonym Mr. Mischief.
The drama just took a wild turn, and this time, it's not coming from palace insiders, but from a royal biographer who isn't holding back. While Prince Harry was in a London courtroom getting emotional and pushing back against a judge, another storm was brewing across the Atlantic. Tom Bower has stepped forward with claims that left Meghan Markle reportedly furious, especially after Netflix quietly moved away from her cooking series. And according to him, this wasn't just about low numbers or weak buzz. He's hinting at something much deeper. Here's where it gets intense. Tom Bower, the author of Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors, recently gave an interview where he broke down why Meghan's Netflix cooking project didn't take off the way many expected. And he did not soften his words. In that interview, he said, "It turns out she's not any kind of talent." That's a sharp line, no matter how you look at it. Now, that's his opinion, but he didn't present it like random gossip. Bower has long claimed that he did deep research for his book, speaking to dozens of people who crossed paths with Meghan professionally. He suggested that his perspective is backed by conversations with insiders who saw things play out behind the scenes. Whether people agree with him or not, he's clearly confident in his stance. According to Bower, Netflix executives may have started questioning their massive deal with Harry and Meghan within months of signing it. Remember, this was a reported $100 million agreement, a deal that made headlines everywhere. The expectation was big cinematic projects, powerful storytelling, and content that would shake up streaming. Instead, critics argue the output didn't match the hype. Bower claims that executives slowly realized Meghan struggled to create content that connected with broad audiences. That's his take. He suggests the cooking show didn't fail just because of ratings.
Doing an interview to offer them a platform to tell their story about why they left. And that was my number one intention, was just clarity on why did you leave? And so some of the things that were revealed in that interview came as a surprise to me. And those surprises are now referred to as bombs.
In Meghan's case, it seems to me she's absolutely determined to force feed the narrative, and damn it, they're going to accept it and keep going, and people are just too smart.
April 2025, she said it's the happiest she's ever been. She's having a wonderful time, she can't believe it, and she's happy and grateful. Now, what sort of idiot would say that in court when he talks to the person herself has given something completely different?
He wanted half in, half out. He wanted his own cake and eat it. And the royal family said, no, you're either in the royal family or not in the royal family. The series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from.
But because, in his view, the spark simply wasn't there. And in Hollywood, if there's no spark, things move fast. Now let's be clear, Netflix hasn't publicly trashed Meghan or blamed her personally. Corporations rarely do that. Streaming platforms shift strategies all the time. Shows come and go. But the timing has people talking. Harry dealing with emotional courtroom moments in London while Meghan's Hollywood plans hit turbulence? That contrast is hard to ignore. Some observers believe the couple's brand has changed since stepping away from royal duties. At first, there was curiosity, global attention, and huge anticipation. But sustaining that momentum? That's a whole different challenge. Entertainment audiences can be unpredictable, and streaming success depends on numbers, engagement, and long-term interest, not just headlines. Bauer's bigger claim is that this isn't just about one cooking series. He's suggesting it signals something larger, or it may year that Hollywood decision-makers may be reassessing their confidence in Meghan as a solo media force. That's a serious claim. If studios begin to doubt long-term profitability, doors can quietly close without dramatic announcements. Meanwhile, Harry's courtroom appearance added another layer of intensity. Reports described him as visibly emotional while addressing legal matters connected to media privacy issues. Seeing that unfold at the same time as questions swirl around their entertainment future created a dramatic split-screen moment. Legal battles in the UK, career pressure in California. Supporters of Meghan argue that reinvention takes time. Critics argue the initial hype hasn't translated into lasting success. The truth likely sits somewhere in the middle. Hollywood is ruthless. Big contracts don't guarantee big wins, and public figures stepping into content creation face a steep learning curve. What's undeniable is this: Tom Bauer's comments reignited debate in a big way. Whether people view him as a credible biographer or a harsh critic, his words stirred the conversation again. And in today's media world, perception can be just as powerful as reality. So is this the end of Meghan's Hollywood ambitions? Or just a rough chapter in a longer comeback story? That part hasn't been written yet, but the pressure is clearly on.
The more Meghan must have been convinced of her importance to the monarchy. Do you still think she's that delusional? And maybe the answer is watching her at Kevin Costner's 805 Live event in $300,000 worth of jewelry, including Diana's Cartier watch.
Wherever she is, whether it's at Costner or in Colombia, or in Nigeria or wherever, she's always, her publicist will reveal that she's wearing one of Diana's pieces of jewelry.
News in Harry and Meghan world, their show has been canceled. Season 3 of With Love, Meghan has been canceled by Netflix.
And even the publishers couldn't quite believe some of the things which I discovered. And one of the big things at that time was sensitivity reading. There was a great fear that she would play the race card they've created, and they're going to earn a fortune out of it. And don't forget, there's Harry's book still to come next month. And then at some stage, there'll be Meghan's book. I mean, they're making a career out of this stuff.
The show's been canceled. You're not going to be the next Martha Stewart, Meghan. I mean, the fact that Meghan Markle had a cooking show and she moved pretzels from one bag into another was crazy.
The series With Love, Meghan was framed as a fresh start, a polished reset meant to introduce Meghan Markle as a lifestyle authority in the same lane as icons like Martha Stewart or Ina Garten. The vibe: cozy kitchens, warm hosting energy, effortless elegance. The message: she's stepping into her soft power era. But critics weren't sold, and Tom Bauer made sure to say exactly why he believes it didn't land. According to Bauer, the issue wasn't just recipe choices or camera angles. He argues the bigger problem was authenticity. In his recent commentary, he suggested that audiences today are sharp. They can sense when something feels staged. And in 2026, viewers don't just watch content, they analyze it. If something feels curated instead of real, people clock it fast. Now, this is where things get uncomfortable. While Meghan was filming the series, her father, Thomas Markle, was dealing with major health struggles, including the amputation of his leg.
Harry, his heart seems to have softened, or there's been some sort of evolution. So I do think you're right that a lot of us were kind of caught off guard by the Prince Andrew decision, because we had grown accustomed to cuddly Charles, Grandpa Charles, with the grandkids in his lap. And when I saw the news, I thought, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this again in my lifetime, but maybe I will because of Prince Harry and Meghan.
That's the thing about Meghan. She's a very, very deceitful person. Professionally, they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished. In the end, one of Meghan's many deficiencies is she has nothing to say. There's no originality. There's no profundity.
Bought 12 episodes and you sliced it. What do you? Everybody
Craft
knows
services
that.
did not come back. The trucks did not drive up the driveway again and relight the whole place.
That detail alone added heavy emotional weight to the public conversation. Critics questioned how someone building a brand around warmth, home, and family could appear distant during such a serious moment. That's not a light accusation. That's a tough narrative to shake. To be fair, family relationships are complicated. No one outside truly knows the full story. There may be layers the public doesn't see, but perception matters in media. When your show is built around connection and sincerity, even rumors of personal distance can shift how people view the product. That's the tightrope celebrities walk, Bauer emphasized, what he sees as a contradiction. He questioned how someone can sell a family-first image while public tension with close relatives remains unresolved. Again, that's his interpretation, but it clearly resonated with certain audiences. And once that idea gets planted, it spreads fast online. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where the conversation really heats up. Reports claim, with love, Meghan ranked 1,217 among Netflix content in the second half of 2025. That's a deep spot on a massive platform. Out of everything available, landing in that position suggests the show struggled to break through the noise. Over a 4-month stretch, the series reportedly pulled in around 2 million views. On its own, 2 million sounds solid, but in streaming terms, especially for someone tied to global royal headlines and a widely reported $100 million Netflix partnership, expectations were sky high. Context changes everything. For comparison, some independent YouTube creators, without global name recognition, hit similar numbers in shorter time frames.
The authenticity is really what the issue is, and there's, they just hired a whole new PR.
Ignore them if they keep popping up doing stuff like this. That's the thing. We're kind of in a mutually abusive, toxic relationship, aren't we? The media and Harry and Meghan, because they keep doing stuff wanting attention. Then they get quite adverse reaction most of the time. Then they react really badly to the reaction. And so it goes on.
Well, what it really boils down to is the threat they offer. If the threat was punctured, which I hope my book will do.
I don't know that he would hang on with Meghan because, as we know, there's not in the top 1,000 that for Netflix.
Discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013, and she wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted. There's no doubt she targeted Harry.
You guys, they put so much money into the show, and then no one tuned in to watch it, that it was just not a good return on investment.
That doesn't mean Meghan's project was a total failure, but it does highlight the gap between anticipation and performance. When the hype is royal level, average results feel amplified. There was also a holiday special connected to the show that reportedly reached 2.4 million views. Slightly better, but still ranking around 1,500th in overall content positioning. Those rankings sparked commentary about star power versus sustained audience loyalty. Attention at launch is one thing. Retention over months, that's a different game entirely. Supporters argue that lifestyle programming is a crowded space. Competing against established figures who've built trust over decades isn't easy. Martha Stewart didn't become a household name overnight. Ina Garten built her audience recipe by recipe, year after year. Walking into that arena means stepping into serious competition. Critics, though, say the disconnect was tone. They felt the show leaned more into polished branding than organic charm. In today's media world, audiences crave unfiltered moments, even in cooking content. They want personality, not just presentation.
In Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother.
Doing anymore, which I'm not shocked because nobody was watching it, okay? That show is like number 5,206 on the Netflix chart.
The internet is undefeated. You cannot fool it. You will never get away with it.
It is filling most people with nausea and fury what they're doing, because they're setting themselves up as the victims, but in fact, they're the aggressors.
I can't even be around it as a consumer. I can't imagine how Harry handles this as a full-time partner. She's artificially building herself up with like the humble brags that she constantly does. She's so incredibly needy.
At the end of the day, whether this was a temporary stumble or a bigger signal about Meghan's entertainment path is still unfolding. Streaming platforms shift fast, public interest shifts even faster. But one thing is clear, the comeback didn't dominate the way many predicted. And when expectations are sky high, even average results can feel like a dramatic fall. Now here's where Tom Bauer really turns up the heat. In his breakdown of the Netflix situation, he claimed the platform didn't just sign Meghan Markle and then give up. According to him, executives kept trying to make it work. They were betting on a long game payoff. Bigger projects, bigger headlines, bigger access. Bauer suggested Netflix may have had their eyes on future gold. Possibly a major documentary tied to Princess Diana, or even deeply personal royal revelations down the line. Not confirmed facts, just industry speculation he discussed. From a business angle, streaming platforms invest in potential. They look at long-term value, not just one show. But according to Bauer's perspective, what Netflix ended up getting wasn't explosive exclusives or groundbreaking storytelling. Instead, he described content centered around small lifestyle moments. Flower arranging, snack styling, polished kitchen setups, calm, curated, quiet. And he claims executives were surprised by how flat it felt once cameras started rolling. Again, that's his take. Bauer argued that Meghan isn't spontaneous on screen. He suggested her presence feels rehearsed rather than relaxed. In his view, everything appears calculated. Every word, every movement, every camera angle. And when audiences sense that level of control, they can disengage fast.
Documentary on his mother would be, by him, surrounded by all of these yes people.
It would be totally inaccurate. I mean, from his own book where he says, for a long time he thought his mother had just disappeared and now believes she'd been murdered by the paparazzi, which is ridiculous. I don't think I think, however, that if he did a program about his mother, that would be for money.
Yes.
And I think it would be a shocking act of further disloyalty.
It helps Harry be looking ridiculous. I mean, one of the ludicrous things that he said was that Meghan was absolute misery.
His mother had amazing status. She looked beautiful. She had terrific poise. She worked very hard at being a royal. She was very empathetic with a lot of sick people. None of the things that Meghan would ever dream of doing.
Now, let's be fair. Production teams rehearse all the time. That's normal in television, but Bauer claims insiders told him the atmosphere behind the scenes was tense. He says Netflix provided top-tier producers, solid budgets, and significant creative control. If that's accurate, it means the infrastructure was there, the tools were there, the opportunity was there. Yet according to Bauer, the content still didn't click with viewers, and that's where his criticism sharpens. He goes further by suggesting Meghan struggles with relatability. He even labeled her as someone who, in his opinion, has difficulty connecting with everyday audiences. That's a strong characterization, and it's his analysis, not a confirmed psychological assessment. But in the entertainment world, relatability is everything. Bauer compared her to established lifestyle names like Martha Stewart and Gwyneth Paltrow. His argument, whether people love them or criticize them, those women present a consistent personality. Martha built a business empire from the ground up. Gwyneth leans into her wellness brand fully even when people question it. There's a clear identity there. In Bauer's opinion, Meghan appears to be performing a role rather than living it. He claims modern audiences are too media savvy to fall for something that feels staged.
He was trying to humiliate her by clearly suggesting she came onto him. There was a little incestual dance. Even season 2 of her show was fake. It was not a season 2, it was a lie.
Likely that there will be a third series of With Love Meghan on Netflix, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yes, definitely. That's what they said. 2 series failed and there's not going to be another one.
Things you would know if this were actually your friend. So I'm gonna miss their latent fear in interaction.
I think there were various things about her sexual life which I dropped out on the grounds of privacy laws in Britain.
It's gonna be the terrified friends who, come in and they have to pretend that they all know each other really well and that she knows them really well.
And in 2026, viewers dissect everything. Tone, body language, authenticity. Nothing slides under the radar anymore. He also shared alleged accounts from crew members who worked on the Netflix project. According to Bauer, some described Meghan as extremely particular, wanting multiple retakes of simple scenes. He claimed she would redo shots repeatedly if she didn't like how she looked on camera. Attention to detail isn't unusual in television, but Bauer framed it as obsessive focus on appearance over substance. One story he highlighted involved her insisting her hair look flawless in every single shot. Now, image control is part of celebrity culture. That's no secret. But Bauer implied that energy spent perfecting visuals didn't always translate into improving the storytelling itself. Supporters would argue that high standards don't equal being difficult. Critics would say perfectionism can stall creativity. The truth likely depends on who you ask. Still, Bauer's broader point is this: streaming success depends on emotional connection. If viewers don't feel warmth, humor, or unpredictability, they move on fast. Platforms measure everything: completion rates, engagement spikes, rewatch value. If those numbers dip, executives pivot quickly. So was Netflix overly hopeful? Was Meghan misunderstood? Or was this simply a mismatch between brand image and audience appetite? What's clear is that Bauer's commentary paints a picture of big expectations meeting quiet results, and in Hollywood, that gap can shift momentum fast.
Meghan Markle, her cooking show has been canceled. No one needs to see her making arts and crafts anymore. I think they need to go away.
Everything about her is fraudulent, right? These are not real friendships. We all know that. These are not her recipes.
Harry is behaving disgracefully. Not only is he utterly disloyal to his father and his brother, but also his mother's memory.
Tell us that you were aware of some, but not all, of the 14 articles that you complain of in these proceedings at the time they were published.
Yes.
You did not complain, and no complaint was made on your behalf.
Not that I am aware of.
That is because you believed at the time that the articles were published, insofar as you saw them, that the information they contained came from legitimate sources.
To a certain extent, but I would not have been able to complain about them anyway because of the institution I was in. It would have been very difficult. Never complain and never explain.
Tom Bauer didn't stop at ratings. He went straight for presentation. He pointed out something simple but sharp. If you're really cooking, your hair is usually tied back. You're focused on the food, not on posing. Real kitchen energy is messy, busy, hands-on. But on with Love Meghan, critics say it often felt more like a glossy magazine shoot than an actual cooking session. Bauer argued the issue wasn't recipes, it was realism. He claimed the mansion used for filming wasn't even her personal home, but a rented location staged to look intimate. He also mentioned rented beehives and carefully selected celebrity guests who, in his view, didn't always seem fully comfortable. That's his interpretation, of course, but the broader point he keeps pushing is this: audiences can sense when something feels manufactured. In lifestyle television, authenticity is currency. Viewers want to believe you actually live the life you're presenting. If it feels like a set instead of a home, if the vibe feels styled instead of spontaneous, that connection weakens fast. Bauer insists that disconnect is what hurt the show the most. Now here's where things reportedly got tense. According to Bauer, Meghan was not expecting the series to be pulled back. He claims she believed it had award potential and could position her as a major force in lifestyle media. Again, that's his account, and not a direct statement from her.
That got into a slanging match with him. At one point, Judge Nicklin had to step in and say, "I'm so sorry, Duke, but it's the job of your counsel to defend you and to get into arguments with the opposing side, not yours."
Harry's evidence came forward a day. So Harry originally wasn't meant to be giving evidence until tomorrow. Now, I think it scrambled him a bit. He seemed uneasy from the moment he arrived. He didn't really settle properly in the witness box, and he came in, and Anthony White very cleverly immediately got him onto this thing of being part of the institution lane, and right from the off, Harry was on the defensive and very bristly and very abrasive, and the judge intervened 3 times to try and calm him down. I mean, the first time, which was the one that you showed there, he was actually quite sympathetic and he was quite like...
Prince Harry is apparently crying on the stand and saying this. This is a direct quote we have from the New York Post. "They've made my wife's life an absolute misery."
To sit here and go through this again, and to hear them claim in their defense that I don't have any right to privacy, is disgusting. They have made my wife's life an absolute misery, my lord.
But if true, that gap between expectation and outcome would sting. While that streaming drama was unfolding, Prince Harry was dealing with his own storm in London. He appeared in court connected to his legal fight involving the Daily Mail over alleged past media intrusion dating back years, long before he even met Meghan. During testimony, reports described moments where Harry pushed back against questioning. At one point, the judge reportedly reminded him to focus on answering rather than debating. Courtrooms run on procedure and precision. It's not a talk show environment. The judge even stated, "You're doing what lots of litigants do. You tend to argue back. You don't have to bear the burden of arguing the case today."
This is my job. I understand that this is a big moment for you. But you're making a mistake that a lot of people make. Let me just tell you, your job now is just to answer these questions. Let your legal team answer the case. And Harry seemed to kind of go, "Okay, my lord, yeah, whatever." Then he carried on. Then he did it again. And then he did it a third time. And it was really bad the third time. So
Harry is vengeful, bitter, angry. There's so much rage in there.
I think Prince Harry would rather travel to London to sit in a courthouse than be stuck in the asylum with her and Monastery.
I think it's absolutely shocking, isn't it? I mean, he's trying to have an argument with the lawyer who's supporting the Mail. Now, that's ridiculous because he's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to answer a question.
That line stood out. Observers noted Harry appeared emotional during parts of his statement. His voice reportedly cracked as he said, "They have made my wife's life an absolute misery." That moment sparked intense discussion because the case centers on alleged actions from years before Meghan entered the picture. Some analysts questioned why Meghan was referenced in a case about earlier events. Others argue that media scrutiny has been a continuous thread in Harry's life. So from his perspective, everything connects. It depends on how you frame it. Tom Bauer sees a pattern. He suggests Harry frequently centers conversations around Meghan, even in situations that began long before their relationship. That's his viewpoint. Supporters would counter that spouses naturally defend each other. Critics say it signals emotional dependence. The interpretation varies depending on where you stand. What's undeniable is that both narratives, the Netflix setback and the courtroom tension, unfolded almost simultaneously. On one side, questions about brand authenticity and entertainment performance. On the other, visible emotion in a formal legal setting. It created a dramatic contrast. Some see a couple under pressure, others see two individuals navigating high-stakes environments at the same time. Hollywood and the High Court are very different arenas, but both demand composure, clarity, and public resilience. Whether Bauer's analysis is harsh critique or sharp observation depends on perspective. But his commentary keeps pushing one idea. Image management only goes so far. At some point, audiences and judges respond to what feels grounded and real. And right now, the spotlight isn't dimming anytime soon. And here's another twist that had people talking. While Prince Harry was in London handling what he described as a deeply important court case, Meghan Markle stayed back in California. No dramatic airport photos, no courthouse appearance, just social media updates from across the ocean. That distance, nearly 5,000 miles, fueled fresh commentary.
Harry, you're crying on the stand. In life, we don't always get what we want.
William wouldn't allow it.
I think Prince Harry keeps finding these reasons to go to London to go to court because he secretly misses being in.
Just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim when there's nothing to be a victim about. And there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
Tom Bauer has repeatedly argued that Meghan holds strong influence in their relationship. In his view, moments like this reinforce that dynamic. That's his interpretation. Supporters would say couples handle support in different ways. Not every spouse needs to sit in a courtroom to stand behind their partner. Still, the optics sparked reactions. Harry appeared emotional, speaking about how media coverage affected his wife. Meanwhile, Meghan's online presence showed her continuing daily life back home. Some critics called it contrast. Others called it normal scheduling. Perspective changes everything. During testimony, Harry spoke about how the press commercialized parts of his private life. That statement triggered immediate pushback online because of his memoir, Spare. In that 400-page release, he openly discussed deeply personal family details, from his relationship with Prince William to past experiences involving substance use and intimate life moments. It was raw, detailed, and very public. That's where critics see contradiction. The argument goes like this: if you voluntarily share private stories in a best-selling memoir, partner with major platforms, and sit down for high-profile interviews, can you then claim total privacy when media coverage continues? It's a complicated debate. Tom Bauer has highlighted this tension before. He suggests you can't fully monetize personal narratives through Netflix deals, memoirs, and global interviews, and then express shock when public interest remains intense. That's his stance. Others argue there's a difference between telling your story on your own terms and having it shaped by tabloids. And that distinction matters to many supporters. Online reactions have been sharp. Some observers question the timing of privacy complaints given the public nature of Spare. Others defended Harry, saying reclaiming your voice doesn't erase your right to boundaries. The internet rarely agrees on anything, and this situation is no exception. One viral reaction summed up the criticism bluntly, suggesting that if privacy was the top goal, releasing such a revealing memoir might not align with that mission.
These folks are so fame hungry, okay? And then when they get written about, they don't love the way they've been written about. It's like, okay, you guys can't make your mind.
But they wanted out. But still staying in. They wanted to be paid, and they wanted to, what they call, do service for the Queen on their own terms. She was about to promote her Netflix series and didn't want to, firstly, be seen with Harry, and secondly, didn't want to go somewhere where she'd appear cheap and give it gratis. And this year, she is desperate to be seen.
Yes, I mean, it's actually £39 million that he might have to pay.
Another commenter argued that courtrooms revolve around evidence, not emotion, strong words, but they reflect the divide in public opinion. There's also debate around family boundaries. Critics point out that Harry discussed details involving his father, now King Charles III, as well as William and Catherine. Supporters respond that memoirs are personal reflections, not media invasions. Again, interpretation drives the narrative. What's clear is that sympathy levels seem to be shifting in certain corners of public discourse. Early after their royal exit, there was widespread curiosity and empathy. Now, reactions appear more mixed. Some still support their independence, others question consistency between message and action. At the center of it all is a bigger theme: control. Who controls the story? Who defines privacy? Who decides what's fair coverage and what crosses the line? In today's media landscape, once you open the door to your personal world, it's nearly impossible to close it fully. Whether Harry's legal fight strengthens his case or deepens public skepticism remains to be seen. Whether Meghan's absence was strategic or simply practical is open to interpretation. But one thing is undeniable. The conversation around this couple isn't slowing down anytime soon. And as long as the spotlight stays bright, every move, in court or on camera, will keep getting dissected in real time. Now let's talk about the reaction to Meghan's Netflix show, because the online response has been loud. When news spread that the project wouldn't be moving forward, some corners of the internet didn't hold back. Instead of outrage, there were people actually celebrating. That alone says a lot about the shift in public mood. Commentary across social platforms has ranged from sarcastic to straight-up dismissive. Some critics argued they were exhausted by what they see as constant complaints from Harry and Meghan. Others framed the cancellation as Netflix finally making a firm business decision. Not everyone feels that way, of course, but the tone online has definitely changed compared to a few years ago. Tom Bauer has been predicting this cooling off period for a while. He's said in interviews that eventually audiences, especially in the United States, would lose patience if they felt the couple's public messaging revolved too heavily around grievances. That's his view. He believes people want inspiration, entertainment, or innovation, not repeated tension with the past, according to Bauer. The cancellation of the show and the courtroom drama surrounding Prince Harry are signs that interest is fading. He argues it's not about outrage anymore. It's about indifference. And in media, indifference can be more damaging than criticism. When audiences stop reacting at all, that's when momentum really slows. He even referenced the idea that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. In his opinion, that's where the Sussex brand may be heading.
Survive without being seen. And that's her great problem. I mean, she's not invited to the great A-list parties, let alone the B-list parties.
Yeah.
I mean, who is she anymore?
She got so wrapped up in telling the news that she just blurted it out. She blurted it out live on air. And you can see the other guy's going like, what? What? Come on.
Part of him is happy to be there because he misses the British culture and he hates being at the house with Meghan. Enough with the lawsuits, enough with the reality shows. Take some time and
Everything about her feels affected, and you recoil in response to it.
Not necessarily intense backlash, just people tuning out. That's a strong claim, but it reflects a wider conversation happening in entertainment circles. Now, here's where Bauer's predictions get even more pointed. First, he believes Netflix may eventually step back entirely. While there hasn't been a dramatic breakup announcement, he suggests the current first look arrangement could quietly phase out. Some commentators have nicknamed that kind of strategy slow ghosting. No big press release, just fewer projects and less visibility over time. Second, Bauer questions the couple's financial runway. Reports have circulated claiming high production costs for previous media projects alongside the significant expenses tied to their California lifestyle. Their Montecito property alone is widely known to carry a substantial mortgage. Maintaining security, staff, travel, and media ventures isn't cheap. Now, it's important to note that exact financial details aren't publicly confirmed. Estimates vary wildly depending on the source, but Bauer argues that if major streaming income slows, pressure builds fast. He's also pointed to Meghan reconnecting with her former PR firm, Sunshine Sachs, as a signal of recalibration. In Hollywood, returning to a previous publicity team can suggest a strategic reset. Again, interpretation matters. Some see it as smart brand management, others see it as damage control. There have also been rumors about attempts to expand social circles within Hollywood, including speculation about connections to Jennifer Aniston. None of that has been formally confirmed, but Bauer frames it as part of a broader effort to reestablish industry positioning. And then there are the smaller ventures, lifestyle products, branding experiments, curated social posts. Critics say some ideas feel random or rushed. Supporters say building a lifestyle empire takes trial and error. Both things can be true at the same time. Bauer's core message is that Meghan appears to be trying multiple directions at once: media, products, branding, partnerships, hoping one lane gains traction.
When she's playing the role of herself, she is, because we can all see right through it.
You want constant press and you want to constantly be, a topic of conversation. And then you're upset that these papers write about you or that they might go to some links that you find unsavory to obtain information, right? You can't have it both ways.
Archwell, their company, is not a charity. It's a commercial organization. They give very little money away for charity.
He characterizes that as urgency. Others might call it entrepreneurship under pressure. What's undeniable is this: the energy around Harry and Meghan has shifted. Early post-royal interviews created massive global spikes in attention. Now the spikes seem smaller, more divided, more debated. So what happens next? Will Netflix fully disengage? Will new projects revive interest? Or will the couple pivot again entirely? If Tom Bauer is correct, we're watching a slow cooling period. If he's wrong, this could just be a transition before another headline-grabbing move. Either way, the spotlight hasn't disappeared. It's just not burning quite as brightly as before. Now let's get into Tom Bauer's third prediction, and this one could hit the hardest. He believes Prince Harry may actually lose his court battle. That's not a confirmed outcome, just Bauer's forecast based on how things have unfolded so far. His argument: he claims the evidence presented doesn't appear strong enough, and that emotion seems to be driving parts of the case more than solid documentation. In a courtroom, feelings don't carry the same weight as proof, and judges focus on facts. During proceedings tied to claims involving the Daily Mail, observers noted tense exchanges. As mentioned earlier, the judge reminded Harry more than once to focus on answering questions rather than debating them. That moment stood out. Courtrooms operate on structure and discipline, and stepping outside that rhythm can weaken perception. Bauer argues that if the ruling doesn't go Harry's way, the financial consequences could be serious. In high-profile UK legal battles, the losing side can sometimes be responsible for covering significant portions of the other party's legal fees. We're talking about potentially massive sums, numbers that spark headlines fast. Now, whether it would reach bankruptcy level is pure speculation. No verified financial statements suggest that outcome, but the mere possibility of heavy legal costs adds pressure to an already complicated public situation. Bauer has been saying for years that Harry and Meghan may have underestimated what they left behind when they stepped away from royal duties. According to him, the royal institution, often referred to as the firm, provided layers of protection, media management, legal shielding, structured appearances. All of that infrastructure doesn't just disappear without impact. When they relocated to California, the plan seemed clear: more independence, more control, more financial freedom. And to be fair, they did secure major deals, including Netflix and the memoir Spare. But Bauer believes building a sustainable brand outside the royal system is much harder than anticipated. It's one thing to have global curiosity right after a dramatic exit. It's another thing to maintain long-term audience engagement without the royal framework fueling constant relevance. Hollywood runs on results, not titles. Streaming platforms measure performance. Publishers track sales curves. Public interest rises and falls quickly. Bauer's core message is blunt. The royal machine amplified them, protected them, and structured their visibility. Without it, they're exposed to full market forces, and market forces are ruthless. Forces are, of course, supporters would say stepping away was about principle, not profit. They'd argue freedom was the priority. Critics counter that the business side was always central. And that debate isn't ending anytime soon. If Harry wins his case, it could reinforce his argument about media accountability. If he loses, critics will likely frame it as miscalculation. Either outcome will shape the next chapter of their public narrative. Right now, everything feels like a crossroads moment. Legal battles, media contracts, public perception shifts. The next year could define whether this couple stabilizes their brand or faces even more turbulence. What do you think? Is this a temporary rough patch, or are we watching a long-term decline play out in real time? If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who follows royal drama, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And don't click away just yet. Check out the next video on your screen for even more celebrity chaos and behind-the-scenes analysis. Trust me, you'll want to see what's unfolding next. See you in the next one.